The 1944 Lincoln wheat penny, without a mint mark, is one of the most historically important and widely collected coins in United States numismatics, especially because it represents America's transition from wartime emergency coinage back to traditional copper compositions during World War II. This coin was struck in 1944 at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not use a mint mark, meaning the absence of a letter below the date clearly identifies it as a Philadelphia issue. Officially known as the Lincoln Wheat Cent, the coin continues the long-running Lincoln cent design first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The obverse front of the 1944 wheat penny features a right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by renowned sculptor Victor David Brenner. Lincoln's image is dignified and realistic, symbolizing unity, democracy, and resilience. Values especially meaningful in 1944 when the United States was deeply involved in the global conflict of World War II. The word liberty appears to the left of Lincoln's profile, while the date 1944 is positioned on the right. Above Lincoln's head is the national motto, "In God We Trust," which by this time had become a permanent feature of U.S. coinage. Brenner's initials VB are subtly placed on the truncation of Lincoln's shoulder, a detail closely examined by collectors. The reverse back of the coin displays the classic wheat ears design, which gives the coin its popular name. Two stylized wheat stalks curve along the left and right edges, symbolizing agricultural prosperity and national abundance, while the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America appear in the center. Above them is the motto E pluribus unum, out of many one, reinforcing the idea of unity, an especially powerful message during wartime. The wheat reverse was used from 1909 to 1958, making the 1944 issue part of a beloved and now classic era of U.S. coinage. From a metal composition perspective, the 1944 wheat penny is particularly significant. During 1943, copper was urgently needed for military equipment, such as shell casings and electrical wiring, so the U.S. Mint produced cents made of zinc-coated steel. However, these steel cents caused confusion because they looked like dimes, rusted easily, and were unpopular with the public. In response, the Mint returned to a copper-based alloy in 1944, but instead of using newly mined copper, it melted down recycled brass shell casings from military training grounds. As a result, the 1944 cent is composed of approximately 95% copper and 5% zinc, sometimes with traces of tin. This makes the coin not just currency, but a direct physical link to World War II history. The Philadelphia Mint produced an enormous number of these coins to meet the needs of a growing wartime economy. In total, over 1.4 billion, 435, 400,000 plus. 1944 Lincoln cents were struck at Philadelphia alone, making the no-mint mark version the most common of the 1944 issues. Despite this high mintage, the coin remains extremely popular with collectors because of its historical context, classic design, and copper content. Many Americans saved these pennies as keepsakes, especially those who lived through the war years. In terms of physical specifications, the 1944 wheat penny has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, a weight of approximately 3.11 grams, and a plain edge. When new, the coin displayed a bright reddish copper color, but over time most examples have toned to brown or reddish-brown due to natural oxidation. Collectors classify these coins by color as red, RD, red-brown, RB, or brown BN, with fully red examples being the most desirable and valuable. From a collector's value standpoint, the 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny is generally affordable in circulated condition, making it a common entry point for new collectors. Well-worn examples are often worth only a modest premium over face value, while coins in uncirculated or mint-state condition can command higher prices, especially if they retain strong original red color and sharp details. Coins graded MS65 red or higher are significantly more valuable due to their rarity in such pristine condition. Error varieties, such as off-center strikes, double dies, or planchet errors, can be worth substantially more, depending on severity and eye appeal. Historically, the 1944 wheat penny symbolizes America's industrial strength, resourcefulness, and determination during one of the most challenging periods in modern history. The fact that it was literally made from recycled wartime materials gives it a powerful story that resonates with collectors, historians, and educators alike. It represents everyday life on the home front, used to buy newspapers, candy, stamps, and basic necessities, while millions of soldiers served overseas. In summary, the 1944 United States 1 cent, no mint mark Philadelphia Mint is far more than just a common penny. It is a wartime artifact, a continuation of a beloved classic design, and a meaningful piece of American heritage. For numismatists, it offers historical depth, aesthetic appeal, and accessibility. For history enthusiasts, it stands as a small but powerful reminder of how even the simplest objects played a role in shaping the outcome of World War II and the modern United States of America. Next, top 2. The 1946 Lincoln Wheat Penny with no mint mark is a highly meaningful and historically rich coin in United States numismatics, representing the immediate post-World War II era when America was transitioning from wartime production to peacetime prosperity. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally used no mint mark, this coin belongs to the famous Lincoln Wheat Cent series that ran from 1909 to 1958. By 1946, the United States had emerged victorious from World War II, and everyday coinage like the 1 cent piece reflected a nation rebuilding its economy, expanding consumer life, and redefining its global role. The obverse front of the 1946 wheat penny features the iconic right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln's image had already appeared on the cent for nearly 4 decades by this point, and had become one of the most recognizable faces in American currency. Above Lincoln's head appears the motto, "In God We Trust," symbolizing faith and national unity, values that held deep significance after years of global conflict. To the left of Lincoln is the word liberty, representing democratic ideals, while the date 1946 is placed on the right. Brenner's initials VB are visible on Lincoln's shoulder truncation, a detail closely examined by collectors and historians alike. The reverse back of the coin displays the classic wheat ears design, which gives the coin its common name, the wheat penny. 2 curved wheat stalks frame the central inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. Above these words is the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, out of many one, reinforcing the concept of unity among states and people. In the context of 1946, this motto carried special meaning as the United States worked to reunite families, reintegrate returning soldiers, and stabilize society after years of war. The wheat ears symbolize agriculture, nourishment, and abundance, fitting imagery for a nation entering a period of economic growth. From a composition and metal standpoint, the 1946 wheat penny is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, with trace amounts of tin, the standard alloy used before and after wartime disruptions. Unlike the unusual steel cents of 1943, the 1946 penny returned fully to traditional copper coinage. The copper used reflects the renewed availability of raw materials after wartime restrictions had ended. Physically, the coin has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, a weight of approximately 3.11 grams, and a plain edge, maintaining the same specifications that had defined the Lincoln cent for decades. The Philadelphia Mint produced a very large number of these coins to support the rapidly expanding post-war economy. In 1946 alone, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 991 million, approximately 991,655,000, Lincoln cents, making the no-mint mark variety the most common of the year. Because of this high mintage, the 1946 wheat penny is widely available today, especially in circulated condition. However, availability does not reduce its importance, as it serves as a tangible symbol of America's return to normal life after World War II. In terms of condition and color, collectors classify 1946 wheat pennies as red RD, red-brown RB, or brown BN. Coins that retain their original bright red copper color are the most desirable and valuable, especially in mint state, uncirculated grades. Most examples found today are brown due to natural oxidation from decades of circulation. While circulated pieces usually carry modest value, high-grade uncirculated examples, particularly those graded MS65 red or higher, can be significantly more valuable to collectors. The 1946 wheat penny is also of interest because it marks a time when America's coinage once again reflected stability rather than emergency measures. The coin would have been used daily by civilians buying groceries, newspapers, stamps, and small household items, making it a silent witness to everyday post-war life. Children of the late 1940s often saved these pennies in jars, piggy banks, and school collections, helping to establish the strong numismatic culture that exists in the United States today. Error coins and varieties from 1946, while not extremely common, are actively sought by collectors. Examples include off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and minor double die effects. Such errors can dramatically increase a coin's value depending on visibility, condition, and rarity. These variations also highlight the mechanical processes of mid-20th century minting technology. Historically, the 1946 no-mint mark wheat penny stands at a crossroads between hardship and prosperity. It reflects a nation no longer rationing metals for war, but instead focusing on rebuilding homes, industries, and families. While it may appear to be a simple copper cent, it carries with it the story of post-war recovery, hope, and continuity. For collectors, it is a cornerstone coin of the wheat penny series. For historians, it is a small yet powerful artifact of a defining era in American history. In conclusion, the United States 1 cent, 1946, no-mint mark, Philadelphia Mint, is more than a common penny. It is a symbol of renewal after global conflict, a continuation of a beloved classic design, and an accessible yet meaningful piece of American numismatic heritage. Next top 3. The 1963 D. Lincoln Memorial 1 cent, commonly called the 1963 D. penny, is a classic and historically meaningful coin from the early 1960s, a period of major social, political, and cultural change in the United States. This coin was struck at the Denver Mint, indicated by the D mint mark located just below the date on the obverse. By 1963, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for more than half a century, and it had recently undergone a major design change in 1959 when the traditional wheat ears reverse was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial. The 1963 D issue therefore belongs to the early and highly recognizable years of the Lincoln Memorial cent series, 1959 to 2008. The obverse front of the 1963 D penny features the familiar right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This portrait, first introduced in 1909, is one of the longest-running designs in the history of world coinage. Above Lincoln's head is the national motto, "In God We Trust," reflecting the country's moral and spiritual values during the Cold War era. To the left of Lincoln is liberty, symbolizing freedom and democratic principles, while the date 1963 appears to the right, with the small D mint mark directly below it, signifying production at the Denver Mint. Brenner's initials VB are visible on the truncation of Lincoln's shoulder, a subtle but important detail for collectors. The reverse back of the coin showcases the Lincoln Memorial, a powerful national monument in Washington, D.C., dedicated to Abraham Lincoln. This reverse design was created by Frank Gasparo, the U.S. Mint's assistant engraver at the time. The memorial is shown in detailed perspective, and at the center, inside the monument, can be seen a tiny seated statue of Lincoln, making this one of the few U.S. coins to depict the same person on both sides. Above the memorial is the motto, E Pluribus Unum, while United States of America appears along the top edge and 1 cent along the bottom. This design emphasized national unity, civil rights, and remembrance, particularly meaningful in 1963, the same year as the March on Washington and the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. In terms of metal composition, the 1963 D. Lincoln Memorial cent is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, with small traces of tin. This solid copper alloy gives the coin a weight of 3.11 grams, a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, and a plain edge. These specifications remained standard for U.S. cents until 1982, when rising copper prices forced the mint to switch to a copper-plated zinc composition. Because of its high copper content, the 1963 D penny is often valued today not only as a collectible, but also for its intrinsic copper value. The Denver Mint produced an exceptionally large number of these coins in 1963 to meet the demands of a growing population and expanding economy. Total mintage for the 1963 D. Lincoln cent exceeded 3.1 billion coins, making it one of the most heavily produced cents in U.S. history. As a result, the coin is very common in circulated condition, and many examples survive today in rolls, jars, and collections. Despite its abundance, the 1963 D penny remains popular because it represents the last full year before major changes in U.S. coinage, including the removal of silver from circulating dimes and quarters in 1965. Collectors classify the 1963 D penny by color and condition, using the standard categories red RD, red-brown RB, and brown BN. Freshly struck coins were bright red, but most circulated examples have turned brown over time due to oxidation. Fully red, uncirculated examples, especially those graded MS65 red or higher, are significantly more desirable and command higher premiums. Because of the high mintage, only the finest quality coins with strong luster and minimal marks are considered scarce. The 1963 D penny is also collected for its minting varieties and errors, though none are extremely rare. Collectors look for die cracks, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and minor double die features, especially in the lettering or date. These errors provide insight into the minting technology of the early 1960s and can increase the coin's value depending on visibility and condition. Historically, the 1963 D Lincoln Memorial cent reflects a nation at a turning point. It circulated during a time of civil rights struggles, Cold War tensions, and rapid technological progress. Pennies like this one passed through countless hands, used to buy newspapers, candy, postage, and everyday necessities, making them silent witnesses to American daily life during one of the most emotionally. In conclusion, the United States 1 cent 1963 D Denver Mint may appear to be a simple copper penny, but it carries deep historical significance. It combines a timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln with a powerful national monument, is struck in traditional solid copper, and represents the final years of classic U.S. coinage before major metal and design changes. For collectors, historians, and enthusiasts, the 1963 D penny remains an important and meaningful piece of American numismatic heritage. Next top 4. The 1968 D Lincoln Memorial 1 cent, commonly known as the 1968 D penny, is a historically important coin that reflects a period of transition and modernization in United States coinage during the late 1960s. Struck at the Denver Mint, the presence of the D mint mark below the date identifies its place of manufacture. The year 1968 is especially significant in U.S. numismatic history because it marks the return of mint marks to circulating coinage after a temporary suspension from 1965 to 1967. During those years, mint marks were removed to discourage coin hoarding amid nationwide coin shortages. Their reintroduction in 1968 makes coins like the 1968 D penny especially notable to collectors. The obverse front of the 1968 D penny features the enduring right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This portrait has been used continuously since 1909, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in world history. Above Lincoln's head is the motto, "In God We Trust," which had taken on heightened importance during the Cold War era. To the left of Lincoln appears liberty, symbolizing freedom and democratic values, while the date 1968 is positioned to the right. Directly below the date is the D mint mark, proudly indicating Denver Mint production. Brenner's initials VB are visible on Lincoln's shoulder truncation, a small but essential detail for authenticating genuine examples. The reverse back of the coin displays the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Created by Frank Gasparo, this reverse depicts the famous monument in Washington, D.C., with remarkable architectural detail. Inside the memorial, a tiny seated statue of Lincoln can be seen, making the coin unique in showing the same person on both sides. The inscription United States of America runs along the top edge. 1 cent is placed at the bottom, and the motto, E pluribus unum, appears above the memorial. This design symbolizes national unity and remembrance, themes that were especially meaningful in 1968, a year marked by social change, civil rights struggles, and the assassinations of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Senator Robert F. Kennedy. In terms of metal composition, the 1968 D penny is made of the traditional pre-1982 alloy of 95% copper and 5% zinc, with trace amounts of tin. This gives the coin a weight of approximately 3.11 grams, a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, and a plain edge. The high copper content gives the coin its warm reddish color when freshly struck, though most examples have darkened over time due to natural oxidation. Because it is a solid copper alloy, the 1968 D penny is often valued today for both its collectible appeal and its copper content. The Denver Mint produced a very large quantity of these cents in 1968 to meet the needs of a growing population and economy. Total mintage for the 1968 D Lincoln cent exceeded 2.8 billion coins, making it one of the most commonly encountered pennies in circulation and collections. Despite this enormous production, the coin remains popular among collectors because of its historical importance as a mint mark return year and its place within the long-running Lincoln Memorial series. Collectors evaluate the 1968 D penny primarily by condition and color, using the standard categories red RD, red-brown RB, and brown BN. Fully red, uncirculated examples are the most desirable and valuable, especially those graded MS65 red or higher, as they retain strong original luster and minimal surface marks. Circulated examples are extremely common and usually carry modest value, but pristine mint state coins can command higher premiums due to collector demand. The 1968 D penny is also collected for its errors and varieties, though major rarities are uncommon. Known collectible errors include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and occasional doubled die features, particularly in the lettering or date. These minting anomalies provide insight into the high-speed coin production methods used during the late 1960s and can significantly increase a coin's value depending on visibility and condition. Historically, the 1968 D. Lincoln Memorial cent circulated during one of the most turbulent years in American history. It passed through the hands of citizens during a time of political unrest, social transformation, and cultural change. Pennies like this were used daily for newspapers, candy, postage, and small purchases, making them everyday witnesses to a defining era in modern America. In conclusion, the United States 1 cent 1968 D. Denver Mint is far more than an ordinary penny. It represents the return of mint marks, the final decades of traditional copper coinage, and a powerful moment in U.S. history. Combining classic design, solid copper composition, and deep historical context, the 1968 D penny remains an important and meaningful piece of American numismatic heritage for collectors and history enthusiasts alike.